Hi, Christine. You did a nice job with your horse series. Certainly, working with animals can add some challenge to your photography. However, I think that you did a nice job. You have captured them in all the images you've presented here. Nice sharp focus, and I think overall your exposures are well considered. You said that there were a couple things in your essay. First, that you wanted to test angles, and you found that you are keeping you active, moving around, standing on rocks, getting up in the trees, getting down in the dirt. Adding that kind of movement can add a lot of visual variety to your imagery, and I think it is a very good idea for you to have. Now, you didn't say if this was your horses or just somebody near you. If they were yours, then one of the things I would suggest before you take photos of your animals is just clean them up a little bit. So, of course, the white horse here, especially you can see it in this image, has a little bit of that dappling. So some of that black is I'm sure is just some of the horse's natural coloring. But down here, a little bit of mud, and so just a little bit of a brush to kind of get that out can really make a big difference overall. The other thing you said in your essay is that you wanted to have a bit of visual diversity, capture the same subject different ways and show different angles, and definitely a good goal. And I think overall you did a good job of that. There is one that I would probably recommend you edit out, so maybe two. So for this assignment, the goal was to have a series of 4 to 6 images, and the hard thing can sometimes be to learn which images to really edit out. 2 that I would recommend taking out are this one and this one. So horses 3, and compare that to horses 5. So the background here is pretty similar. You clearly took those in pretty close succession. And the reason I would say take this one out is because the horse is kind of looking away. So we're going to call the background here basically equivalent in these 2 images. Your framing is a little bit different, but by and large, we still see the barn, we still see this tree, we still see these trees. And between the 2, this one where the horse is looking at you, the ears are perked forward, is clearly paying attention to you, and compare that to here where you pretty much have everything except that the horse is just looking away from you. So between the 2, having the horse look directly at you is going to be the stronger of the 2 images. So I'm just going to go ahead and take this one away. Similarly here, horse 1 and horse 6, they're pretty similar. Now your point of view is different. You clearly got down lower in this one, and I like that quite a bit. And this one here, you're a little taller, but still the horses in relation to each other are pretty similar. And also we're missing just a little bit of this hoof, whereas with this one you have both horses fully in the frame. You've got this one here kind of looking at you, this one here hiding behind it. I think there are a few reasons why this one would be less impactful than this one. So between the 2, I would say get rid of 6. That really leaves horse 1, horse 2, horse 4, and horse 5 as representing the overall ideas that you had. And I think that these ones here are pretty successful on their own. Now, again, I said earlier, I think that your exposures are pretty accurate here, and you just did this with your cell phone, and so I think that really speaks to the quality of your cell phone. You also said you worked in overcast lighting. You tried a different lighting, and you found this was the easiest to work in, and that's absolutely true. Anytime you have clouds in there, it diffuses the sunlight, and it makes it much easier to get a good overall exposure. So that's important when you have high contrast imagery. And we see that here where we've got the horse that's relatively dark and then has a few patches of white. Now this is kind of a typical thing that pet photographers have difficulty dealing with. You want to be able to maintain detail here both in the brightest whites and in the darkest shadows. You also see that here in horse 1 where you've got the basically white horse and basically the dark horse. This one I think was a little bit less successful. Now you can, just because we're losing detail here, now you can bring some of that back in post, but You really need to use a more advanced editing tool than your phone. But one of the tools I really like to use is the shadows and highlights tool. Now this is best to use as a smart object filter, only because it makes it so that you can go back and adjust it if you need to. So the easiest thing here, convert this to a smart object, and we're going to go image, adjustments, and then shadow highlights. Now you can see it brightens everything up pretty reasonably. We're not actually too interested in most of the scene. We just really want to focus on this horse here. So we probably want to bring these highlights down just a little bit, and then we want to bring some of these shadow details up. And you gotta kind of play back and forth, and with the mid-tone slider maybe a little bit. And you can see how just a few little tweaks can make a pretty decent change in allowing more texture here in the white horse and bringing up a little bit more detail here in the black horse. Little tweaks like that can really go a long way. Overall, I think nice job. A little bit of extra post-processing and a little bit more of selection will, I think, improve your series a little bit, but I think you're definitely on the right track. Let me know if you have any questions.